Hello, hello. How's everybody feeling? Good? All right, I like that energy. How's everybody feeling? Awesome. Neetan, thanks for flying in.
Prat, my prayer, yeah. I'm
All
blown
right.
away by all this, you know.
Yeah. I'll start with an AI question.
Yeah.
Airline industry question.
Right.
Um,
As long as it's not Air India you're talking about. Yeah.
all right, so what's your favorite destination to go to?
Yeah, I was 27 years in Dubai. Last 4.5 years I've been in this beautiful country. Besides Bangalore, because I know where I am, perhaps Kochi would be really nice. You know, I love visiting that city.
Yeah. Nice, nice. All right. I like how you picked something here as well, so that's good.
Yeah.
So whenever I come in, I have the pleasure of flying IndiGo to Chennai.
So besides Chennai, what's your favorite city then?
A lot. I think we have a country list.
Yeah.
But here I enjoyed Coorg.
Coorg.
Yeah. Last time I came in, it was just fantastic place to visit actually. So, all right. And then what's your favorite IndiGo snack?
I mean, I love those. How many of you had those nut cases, right? Yeah, the raise of hands, right? So that's my favorite. Yeah. It's beautiful, right?
Look at that, like the.
I love them. Thank you for flying IndiGo.
I think it's an indication we're getting close to lunchtime. So.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into AI now, actually.
Yeah, please.
Right?
Yeah.
So IndiGo operates one of the most, competitive, cost-sensitive and customer-facing industries. Technology has always been central to the success. And how have you been using AI, not just for efficiency, but more as a strategic differentiator?
Yeah, I mean, large, I've been part of large enterprises, so are you, Prat. I mean, the key thing when something so transformative comes along is, how do you make that change in the large organization, right?
Yeah.
So that people get excited and there is an organic move towards that technology, right?
Yeah.
My view has been, and that's kind of culture or mindset, how do you do that in a large setting? My view has been strategically you do it by doing, right? Get into the act of doing so that, changes happen, people have a look, you celebrate, FOMO kind of sets in, and people then start looking at it, right? So, the catalyst has been getting stuff done in life, right? But the landscape is actually the whole company, really, right?
Yeah.
I mean, revenue, cost, customer experience, a bit of capability building that we are doing, learning, right? It's fascinating that a technology like this, its strategic potential is pretty much in every part of business. That's what we've been exploring.
Yeah, I think, Neetan, one of the things that as we were talking through that resonated with me is your role itself, right? So as a Chief Information Digital Officer, what sits under you actually?
Who would have thought, right? REC Trichy, when I was doing my master's, that I would sit in a table next to you, right? And say my role, I mean, it's crazy. I've got IT and cyber, which is what you would expect.
Yeah.
But I've had the good privilege, I mean, of in this stint and in a previous one, to actually build two businesses. So we built over the last 2.5 years, two businesses within digital. That's the Blue Chip, our loyalty business, and something very close to your heart, which is marketplaces, a curated travel marketplace, 0 to 1 journeys. Now we need to scale. I also we set up IndiGo Ventures.
Yeah.
This was inspired by what we did in Emirates and also some other folks in the industry to get this relationship between enterprise and innovation going. And then I also run marketing, so this CMO reports into me, which I thought never will happen in my life, right? Digital, IT, and then branding and design, it's been an interesting journey.
Hands down, you have the coolest job, actually.
I do.
Right?
I don't know how long it'll last.
Tech,
right?
marketplace, venture capital, as well as marketing. That's just fantastic. So, with AI, I think one of the things is like aviation in particular is an operations disguised in customer experience and customer service, right? So, how has AI changed that equation in your business?
Yeah, I mean, if 2 years back we started our journey with looking at AI, and I ran a lab previously, and this time we set up Lab 37. right, as a vehicle for innovation within the company.
Okay.
And the first job was to look at AI and then go live, right? Go live.
Yeah.
Right? Don't just keep it as an MVP in a side corner.
Yeah.
And the first kind of, set of projects were around going live on the revenue side of stuff, right? And then we started looking at the cost side, which is call centers, saying how can you augment and make the efficiency in those areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I just heard today morning, I mean, it's amazing what you said, what did you say, putting a jet engine to a bullet car. So you got to think about how do you reimagine processes, which is something we still need to do.
Yeah, no, that's, this idea of, be there and start the learning is so powerful. And when it comes to, especially in AI, it even makes even more exciting. One of the things is very well talked about is the sky. So talk to us a little bit
just
about
to get the spelling right, just like you've got multiply.
Yeah.
We've got SKAI. So Sky AI was born with this idea that, my mom uses WhatsApp, right? And a mobile, she's 84, right? And she's quite seamlessly able to use it, right? So how can we make a travel kind of channel, a direct revenue channel, where we have not imposed our lives, airline life on the consumer, right? Saying, hey, airline life is the from, the to, how many kids, blah, 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 right? Versus, you just have a conversation and do a booking, right? So it was conceived not as a chatbot, but as a direct revenue channel. I must say, it's not there yet, but we get total revenue around 170 crores out of this. We get anywhere, we've gone up to 1,000 bookings a day, orders. On average, we get between 300 to 400. Yeah, then of course, it also does services, so you can get a boarding pass, and it also answers questions in that order, right?
Yeah.
So it was a single agent, now we are evolving it, right? So,
there's a lot common, this conversational nature and how it's changing. And Brad just presented the use case around how we are preparing to go from keywords world to a conversational world. And this idea of picking like from, to, and boxes to like all of a sudden you're opening a conversation.
Exactly,
Probably the customers are sharing like, hey, here is what I want to do and where we want to go.
Yeah. I tell you, I've studied the transcripts of what customers speak to Sky. It's quite fascinating. There was a kid in one of the IMs asking me, will AI get emotional? And I was just, sharing a story of a conversation one of our customers had with Sky. It's quite bizarre what can go on there, right? What about you? I mean, with Target, you're also looking at conversational kind of commerce, or?
It's probably one of the biggest paradigm shifts that we are experiencing, and both on the properties that we own, where we are launching the experiences, but also like off-platform, as we call it, whether it's especially ChatGPT introduces idea of conversation, conversational search, conversational curiosity to the world. I think that has changed quite a bit in terms of what we are seeing. It's probably the fastest growing traffic for us, actually, so as a percentage.
Is it? That's amazing. And at your scale, that's amazing, right?
Yeah. So we're fortunate to be in the forefront of that innovation as well. One of the things that, as we were looking at is aviation has always embraced automation. Like you have the plane can take off and land by itself, right? Yet pilot is the decision maker, right there in the cockpit, actually, right? More broadly across IndiGo, how do you think about keeping human in the loop when it comes to AI?
It's an evolving field, and I would really value your views as well, right? I mean, initially, of course, we did all our programs, revenue-facing programs, were kind of greenfield, right? So it's slightly easier. In a real-time 24/7 operation in Sky, for example, we couldn't have human in the loop in the main cycle. But of course, we had humans in the loop in terms of the feedback, looking at what was going on, right? And of course, setting all the guardrails in the process, right? So I think the evolution for me is human in the loop, of course, is critical, but we will get to a stage, right, where it might not be feasible to do, especially at the scale that we have.
Correct.
Online, I meant, in real time.
Correct.
Right? So maybe the human in the loop might need to become a bit, a bit offline, if I may,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's one. The other thing is, I mean, humans will always be in the loop per se, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there are certain experiences. I mean, I must say, must have been what, 1.5 hours or what since we started. This is the most amazing set of things I've heard. You know, my brain is already bursting. And that happened because you kind people set this up, right?
Yeah.
For humans to interact with each other, brought such great pedigree of speakers and got such kind of knowledge shared with us,
Yeah.
right? That will never go away,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So those are the thoughts that I have. But what do you think, about human in the loop? I mean,
Okay, can I stay on that for a second?
Yeah,
so
please,
I,
yeah.
I wanted you to share that story that you shared with me,
Do it?
actually.
Should I?
Your vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So Kochi, right? Me and my wife said, okay, we'll go to Kochi, right? We're all driven by serendipity. My daughter, keeps saying, you never plan anything. You do everything based on serendipity. So we landed up in the hotel. We said, where should we go? The lady says, okay, there's a beautiful waterfall.
Yeah.
So we took a 1.5 hour drive and there was some great movie shot there. Beautiful, right? Came back, she said, where should we go? She said, go to Munnar, right?
Yeah.
So we were driving up to Munnar. I spoke to the taxi driver and said, what should we do here, right? It's beautiful. He said something so amazing,
Yeah.
right? He said, sir, once in 12 years, in only 2 hills on earth, there is this flower that blooms. All of you might be knowing about it. I had no clue. Called some kulunji, right? Yeah? Yeah? And he said, now it's blooming. And I said, okay, brilliant. Where is it? Can we go? He said, yeah, it's just here. Just here was around 2 hours of travel, which is typical India for you.
Yeah, yeah.
But we reached there, we climbed up this mountain, which was the most amazing experience.
Yeah.
That human connection can only happen, right, with humans, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's a great example of human in the loop.
Yeah, human in the
right? So in your marketplace, chatbot can define and design the experience that you and the family want to have.
Yeah.
Looking at the waterfalls, where you want to stay and where do you want to have food. But like the idea that in that moment, that it's been that 12-year cycle that you are right there and get you to see the flower, the rare flower, that's truly a human in the loop example,
right?
actually.
Maybe that's the consonance, right? AI helps with a large part, and then humans just augment to make the experience. You spoke about experiences the morning, right?
Yeah.
We're in the world of experiences, right?
Yeah.
To make that experience memorable, right? Maybe that's the idea. Right?
Yeah, I think biggest challenge, you asked me where is retail, lots of decisions are not coded anywhere, right? I think that's probably the biggest challenge for us is like, we can automate what's coded, we can make decisions on what's coded. How do you capture the uncoded part?
That's correct.
When do you know when there is a Kurinji Malar somewhere actually, right?
I know.
So I think those are the decisions. So physical. So if I look at retail and as well as airline industry, physical and digital, right? So we have physical assets that we operate as a service. So talk to me how AI is helping in the physical spaces.
That whole phygital, right? I mean, finally, airline experience or a travel experience is all physical, right?
Yeah.
A human being walks across, goes to an aircraft, right? There's so many possibilities there on operational excellence. One of the things IndiGo defined for India, which is amazing, is IndiGo standard time, to a country not very well versed with punctuality, right?
Wait a minute. So the IST got redefined. Yeah.
We're very proud to say, we kind of depart and arrive on time, right?
Yeah.
So to make that happen, it's orchestration of seconds, actually, Prat, right? 34, 35 processes have to orchestrate in real time, a lot of them physical, right? So we are looking at vision as a great possibility. There are quite a lot of constraints because we don't own the airports. I mean, so you got to orchestrate an ecosystem towards the same vision. But vision is a great possibility. Somebody spoke about using your face as your identity is a great possibility, so that physical experiences is what it is finally about, right? Those become as seamless, and we innovate to simplify for the customer, right? The wonderful thing would be if you just walked onto an aircraft, without being stopped anywhere, and your face was... So we are looking at all of this. We are not there yet, but there are great possibilities with vision, with, actually with vision and into physical. I'm sure, I mean, you own like shops and department stores. It must be very relevant for you as well. Like.
Vision is super cool for me.
Is it?
It's
It's cool,
like very
right?
exciting.
Yeah.
Brad talked about the tokens, right? So one of the other constraints that you have in a physical world is bandwidth.
Yeah.
So even if you have access to tokens, how do you actually send volumes of video feed onto the cloud and process it, right? So the bandwidth becomes really real constraint. And for us, when we have these 2,000 stores, we've been using vision for a long time for theft, fraud, like,
Right.
the front end of the store, as we call it. But for the first time, we're starting to use it towards customer experience.
Yeah.
Right? What does the checkout wait time look like? How do we actually think about and say, can we proactively take action on it?
Yeah.
Or how do we understand flow paths within a store? So vision is one of the most promising AI breakthroughs that we can expect. It is because physical world offers so much data that
That's right.
it becomes very, very important, right?
Yeah.
But on that one, the story you mentioned resonates with me. Talk like how do they understand weather?
You cannot put it out there in social media, okay, guys?
Yeah.
So, I was talking to a colleague of mine, and just a fun fact, right? How so much knowledge in large enterprises sits in these beautiful human minds, right? So, I was telling him, right, how do you know, dude, when the weather really gets, to that level where it's going to disrupt, right, our flights? How do you know? So I thought he's going to lead me to some fancy dashboard, a lot of stuff that we've deployed. So he takes me to his room, and his room overlooked the runway, right? And he said, hey, do you see that water tank across on the other side? He said, when I can't see this part of the water tank, I know it's going to, I said, okay, how do you now capture that in context graphs and all of this stuff, right? So it's going to be an interesting journey. I think I was talking to, one of your friends who are here, that as we build this context,
Yeah.
right, which
Yeah.
powers agentic for AI to reimagine our world, it's going to be amazing. How do we get this human knowledge built into the context? Right?
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
no idea how, but we'll figure it out.
I love it. That's an AI that's actual intelligence, actually. So, all right. So we both operate like these massive networks, and disruptions are normal, especially in retail. If you look at it, yeah, of course, weather has a big impact. Tariff has an impact. So there's always like these complex operations have disruptions. What's the role of AI and technology in general?
Yeah, I mean, our world, somebody invented VUCA, right? And I think our world, all our worlds, even the youngsters out here, whichever place you are in, is becoming so volatile, right? And aviation is subject to every volatility signal you can have, right? Fuel price, wars, weather, right? Right? So we have this thing called the nerve center. It's either we call it operation control center. Some people call it integrated operations. Well, it's a nerve center, right? Earlier used to have two pathways, right? The happy pathway and the disruption pathway, right? I have a feeling nowadays it's only disruption.
There's only one path.
And it's quite complex, right?
Yeah.
I've been in this business for a while now, typically you end up optimizing separately, right? You optimize for crew, you optimize for flights, you optimize, and there hasn't been an optimizer which optimizes for everything, right? But, based on something that I learned today and something we are exploring, I think your team said it wonderfully, by the way, that is fantastic, right? Which is, using the consonants of machine learning and agentic to maybe solve a problem like this. Right? I would love to leave that mark in agentic.
Yeah.
We've been working with institutes and trying to do it. So AI is one.
Yeah.
But I tell you, Prat, my other feeling is human beings as us should develop what somebody nicely called this anti-fragility muscle, right? Because the fact is, it's not going to be one or two shocks. It's going to be continuous shocks every day, right? So might as well develop the ability, and it's not easy, to actually, every time there is a volatility shock, you actually improve, right?
Yeah.
You just don't come back to the same level, you improve. So both human competence and capability towards anti-fragility and AI competence has a potential for some amazing possibilities, right, for disruption.
Build for disruption. I think that's
that's a great way of putting it.
Build for disruption. I think that totally makes sense, especially how fast the expectations for the customers are changing as well as we speak. So I want to go into the responsible AI part of it, right? So as much as we are thinking, and especially with your role, how you're looking at across the enterprise, right? Governance and guardrails are important in innovation, actually. So how are you thinking about, like, responsible AI and the governance?
That's critical, right? I mean, in an enterprise context, that's absolutely foundational. Lot to learn, lot to do there. First phase, what we did, because we went live, right? We took a number of pretty hardcore precautions in the process itself. We have a lot of kill switches, right? So Sky doesn't respond, there is a few seconds, kill switch, it goes to the agent, right? So we were very conservative in the first stage, baked in a level of governance and controls within. Now we are taking the next kind of leap. I'm not a big guy for these fancy compliances, the 42,001, 27,000, I know, but there are a great means to improve your company from within, right? So we are looking at 42,001 as a means to do that. We are looking at some AI tech to improve AI. So two tracks that we are working on, securing what we've got and then building capabilities for the future, but it's an ever-evolving field and we are learning. What about your point of view, Brad? I learned a lot from what Brad presented, but what?
I like the using AI to keep other AI responsible.
Right.
That's good. I think for us, we've been able to organize upfront from a governance perspective to have a responsible AI governance team with legal, HR, tech, and business at the table, so that we can look at whatever we put out in the market, like to the extent that we can, be upfront and talk through the pros and cons of it, actually. Right? So I think it totally makes sense from that perspective.
I'll do that. I'll do that in IndiGo as well. Thank you for that.
I will. I think what I picked up is I want to use AI to keep the other AI responsible. I think that's also a good one. So let's talk about the AI journey, itself, right? So enterprise AI, we both have this unique roles where it's just not the tech or the digital business, it's just the overall transformation for the company. So what are some of the lessons learned? How are you looking at scaling?
I think you call it running on AI?
Run on AI.
Run on AI, I love that, right? I've had this term that I've used always, right? I used to call it being digital, now I've started using being AI, right? It's not just about doing AI, it's much more deeper, it's culture, it's mindset, right? So 2-3 factors, I mean, there's no playbook, right? I mean, you're all learning. The one that I'm using is get stuff done. You've got around 4-5 absolutely live, producing revenue, reducing cost, improving experience. Get stuff done, creates a FOMO, Then of course, data is not easy. Till I was hopeful that, the data issue. See, the extrovert is AI. The introvert is all data, right? Enterprise. It's really difficult to do. So we've got a whole pipeline of data-related stuff that's going on. It's taking time. Keep calm and carry on. When it comes to data, every day you say you can't do it, you've got to keep calm and carry on. Then we've got, a lot of engagement with executives, with day-to-day people, right? So that the AI kind of wave starts spreading and the curiosity starts spreading. Then we have a whole governance. So there's a whole framework around building capabilities. We have these SaaS platforms. We got to hollow them, building that layer above it, right? But what we haven't done as yet is what you mentioned, right? Which is, how do you even start reimagining something I've done for so many years, right? So that's the next wave, I guess. But, we have a framework that we are trying to execute on.
That is awesome. That's excellent. The idea of complete re-architecture of the tech stack is very real as we speak. I mean, as you said, like data used by humans versus data used by AI in the context of how it needs to be used switches the paradigm quite a bit, actually.
That's great. That's great. And since I have this great privilege and honor to just run 2 businesses, I've offered these 2 businesses to my friends in right arm in AI, right? Saying, can you reinvent these businesses from the lens of AI, right? So that kind of helps. We aren't there yet, but we are giving it a shot.
I'm looking at the clock as well. So if we fast forward 3 years, what will look fundamentally different at IndiGo because of AI? Right?
One is just the tech bit. I really get fascinated by this whole self-improvement loops. Where will those things lead, when we have self-improvement baked into IndiGo. So who knows what the future is, mate? You know, I mean, it's a real difficult thing to nowadays project. Couple of things I would love to see. One is, you know, a lot more autonomy in embedded and intelligence embedded into IndiGo. A lot more reinvention rather than doing the same bits, right? And then, you know, the big thing being, you know, we don't take moonshots enough. As a consequence of all this, on behalf of our customers, taking some moonshots, especially in the arena of customer experience, you know, something magical happens, our customers really remember us for that. Right?
I like how you're changing the altitude there.
Yeah,
that's good. So connected intelligence. So one of the things, this theme is connected intelligence and multi-agents in action. I think there's a lot of myth, there is a lot of reality, and there's a lot of, you know, when the speaker asked, like, how many people are actually deployed agents in the production, that was a real moment, actually, right? So when you look at the AI assistants and multi-agents in action, what are some of things that you have experienced, and what's some of the advice you can give?
You know, I mean, my most happy story is this multi-agent team we put in, right? So IndiGo did not have a ancillary bundling project, you know, a capability, right? So you would go and choose a meal, you would do it individually, right? So we put up a 8-member agentic team. It works 24/7. I don't have to do their performance reviews. They don't ask for a salary increase. I'm sorry. I also ask for a salary increase, so that's fine. But, you know, I mean, it's amazing what goes on, right? They look at the customer, they build the agentic bundles, they build 3, right? And then they do the pricing.
Oh, wow.
Right? And we started with what, 10 orders a day? Today on our direct channels, they are giving us 1,800 orders a day, right? Yeah. So it's real, it's out there. I feel quite excited about, you know, this whole connected intelligence. When you of course, you look at them and you make sure that they work. But I think, you know, putting these multi-agent teams, maybe initially in greenfield, which is slightly easier, and then in brownfield is amazing, and outcome that they can produce, right?
I like that. I like that. White space is easier to work with to begin with. I think that's a brilliant example. I think we are towards the end, so I'll move to the rapid fire questions. This is the fun part. So, what's the first dashboard or a metric you look at first thing in the morning?
And I should be saying customer service one, but given blue chip and marketplaces has to scale, I look at the number of orders sold yesterday, right? Just being honest.
That's the honest answer. It's both sales and customer satisfaction. That's very true. First thing after a long flight.
Yeah, I mean, I love the chais in India, right? You come down off a flight, you get on these beautiful airports. There's a lot of good chai available.
That's true.
Get down and have a nice kadak chai without sugar.
For me, it's filter coffee. Yes,
Is it?
That's so good. That's so good. What's one AI capability you wish existed today?
Yeah, maybe if it helped me, maybe 2 things. Maybe if it could help me, how do I even think about reimagining something, right? I don't know how to do it, right? I know how travel works for so many years. If you could help with that. And 2, if it could give me a few hints on what does moonshot mean when it comes to customer experience, right? That would be wonderful, actually.
No, that's fantastic. Both are very, very good. Is there a technology that's undervalued or underhyped?
Overall?
Yeah.
Overall, you know, I mean, I think, and at some point, the winters for blockchain will go away. And I hope the summers arise and stay, right? I put up a blockchain use case for inter-airline settlement some 10 years back. I haven't really seen it scale. So I hope it gets its sunshine moment soon. You know?
It is actually, there's a lot of talk about blockchain and AI identification. So one more try.
So blockchain and AI for IT.
ID. How do you identify AI agents through blockchain? So we'll see how that kind of takes over. One of the things, so one lesson from your book, Accelerated Digital Transformation, how that has become more relevant in the age of AI.
Yeah, what's amazing, you write a book a few years back, and then you look at it and say, my God, it's become quite useless. I'm sorry, you still buy it, please. You know? I'm plugging in a failure of mine, you know, into this, right? But man, how world is changing, right? And already, I had crafted that for being digital. It's already being AI, right? But I guess one lesson or one thing that has carried forward is, I used the honeycomb hacks, which was the last part of my chapter. The first part of it was built with GPT-2.
Oh.
Right? So being able to generate stuff, right, is only got better actually, through the years of writing that book. Yeah,
Neetan, I think the pace of change, right? I mean, it's just so real when you even reflect back on that moment, actually. So it's awesome. So last question, if in one word, what will define the future of IndiGo?
The future of IndiGo and India will be these young minds out here, these wonderful people here in this room, in the wonderful city of Bangalore, and the beautiful minds that I have in IndiGo, taking moonshots with AI. Right?
All right. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Thank you so much.